All right.
You
So,
are good to go.
okay. You can hear me?
Except I can't hear you.
Shit. I
Am
don't
I the
know.
only one who can't hear her, or can you guys hear her?
Can you
Okay.
guys hear me? No.
Okay. They
Yeah,
can hear
gotcha.
you. All right.
Okay.
Now I can as well. Good.
Good.
Ready to go.
That was almost disastrous. That's going to really distract me. Matt.
Yeah, hold on a second.
I'm listening to myself in the living room on Matt's phone.
Earbuds.
Yes, he's getting them in right now. I'm pretty proud of myself because I didn't have to take a shot or throw up. So I'm excited to be here. I needed to look at everybody to remind myself that pretty much know everybody and we're all friends and nobody's like going to be grading me.
I'm judging you.
Right. Well, I wasn't going to say that, but now I think you are. So great. All right. I'm going to share my screen so that you don't look at me and I can feel protected. Okay. So basically, I wanted to come on and chat with you guys about being busy and having a life and also being a coach. Everybody's life looks different, and mine just so happens to be I wear a couple different hats. I'm a mom, and I'm a wife, and I'm a nurse, and I happen to work nights. And then I added on Beachbody coach to all the rest of that stuff. So, yeah. So when I first started coaching, my boys were like 2.5 and 4.5. And anybody that has kids or nieces and nephews knows what a challenge that can be, how demanding they are, how much they need you. And I don't resent that. I don't mind that at all, but it was just an added challenge to everything. So, and then being a wife, you know, when you have kids, you take some time away from your spouse. And when you're working, you take some time away from your spouse. And so it just kind of keeps getting whittled away. And just leaves less time for them. So that was kind of an issue with us at first. Matt was super supportive of my fitness journey. I've always been really active and athletic, and I danced all my life up through college, and he would be great about coming home and letting me go off to Zumba class, and totally supportive that way. When I started coaching, he was okay at first, but then like the more time it seemed like it was demanding, the more I was on my phone, like that was a definite source of tension in our house. And at that time I wasn't like bringing in a ton of money. So he wasn't like, oh, this is totally worth it. He was like, awesome. Another thing to take time away from me and our family. So I totally get it. But at the same time, like I was enjoying myself and learning about myself and about this business and helping people, which has always been, you know, a passion of mine. And so I kind of told them like, tough crap, like I'm doing this. You can either support me or not, but this is what's happening. So I would try to work with them. We would try to kind of figure out how to schedule us time in, which didn't always end up working, but we did try. And then I had the mom guilt on top of it all too. Like I'm on my phone. I'm not spending as much time with my kids. I had Tanner at home, my youngest. So instead of playing with him, sometimes I would be working on the business, and I felt torn in a million different directions. And so I just want you guys to know, like, I was a huge hot mess. I felt like a hot mess all the time. So if you feel like that, it's fine. You're not alone. It's perfectly normal. And you'll find your way out of it for sure. Being a nurse kind of added a different element into it, especially a night nurse. So I work like 12 and 14-hour shifts, and I would work 2 or 3 shifts in a row. And so basically I would work all night. I would sleep all day. I'd have like an hour with my family, and then I'd go back in and do it again. So it didn't leave me a lot of time for working my business, and I probably didn't utilize my resources to the best of my abilities as far as scheduling posts out and stuff like that. But I basically had enough time to maybe put up a couple posts a day, and there was like no inviting, no reaching out, none of that, because I valued my sleep and my family more. I've adjusted since then. I've kind of switched my schedule around, which I had the flexibility to do, which was awesome. But also I decided that my business and me feeling good and working on my fitness and my health was more important to me than 30 more minutes of sleep. So I started waking up a little bit earlier in the afternoon and pounding some Energize and getting my workout done. And then I was able to actually have some time to work on my business and spend time with my family and kind of feel like I still was keeping that momentum going. Just because for me, and I know for others as well, inactivity definitely breeds a lot of fear and doubt. And so when I would get on those work stretches and I wouldn't do my vitals, and by the time the work stretch was over, I was tired, I was unmotivated, and I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So, so something changed. Right now I'm at 18 consecutive months of SC5. I've hit SC10 6 months so far this year. Gotten my husband to Success Club several times this year. And we're in the process of building him to Diamond right now. I had hit Diamond in 4 months. And the only thing I can credit that to is being coachable, having an awesome coach, Katie, who was available to me a lot and very patient with all of my questions. But basically, if she said, hit Success Club, that's what I was going to do. If she said, reach out to everybody that liked your post, that's what I was going to do. Was I scared? Yes, absolutely. But I knew that she had success in this business, and she was a part of this team, and there's all kinds of other people that had success in this business. And I knew that they didn't do it. They didn't get where they got by, branching off on their own and doing all these crazy things. Like, I realized that there was these consistent behaviors that, we had to follow to get where we wanted to be. So I didn't perfect any of this overnight, but these are some of the things that I've started doing fairly recently that have really helped me manage my time better. And I like this quote: spectacular achievements always preceded by unspectacular preparation. So it might not feel exciting and glamorous, and you might be like, oh my God, I have to, do the same things over and over and over again. But that's what's going to get you success in this business. Your vital behaviors every single day, no matter, if you feel like doing them or not, that discipline is what is going to build the momentum and get you guys the success that you can absolutely have, as evidenced by the other people in this team that are doing this and are achieving things. So I schedule out my month, and I know Joan does this too, and she posts the calendar for everybody, which is super helpful. So when your team calls are, and I actually have a whiteboard that I just bought, a monthly whiteboard. So I'll put all my team calls on Monday nights, and then I will write out when I'm going to do my free groups and my challenge groups and my sneak peeks and any coach calls I might have. So I can just kind of get a picture for the whole month. And I also have a calendar on my phone that I share with my husband so that we can, see when the kids stuff and work meetings and things fit in as well. And it looks kind of crazy, but if we don't have it written out, then we get grouchy with each other and we forget things, and it stresses us out. So it's not worth it. And then we break it down a little bit further and we schedule out each week. Again, that's a lot of it is in our phone for the weekly stuff, but it's really helpful if you can get together like Sunday night or whenever your week starts and plan everything out. Like, especially free time and date nights. It's like super, super important, and stick to it. I wasn't always the best with that. Sometimes a sneak peek would pop up and I wasn't running my own at the time, and I was like, I got to do this. And he was really understanding about it. But so try to schedule out, weekly with your significant other or your family or whatever. And that's a good time to schedule out your posts and be more specific about it. So, you can look at it and say, okay, well, Monday I'm going to do a coach call to action, and Tuesday I'm going to do a challenge group call to action, and then I might just do a lot of stuff about my brand on Wednesday and just schedule it out like that. And then something that I started doing really recently is scheduling out each day. And what I do, and is really helpful for me, and I use this little template or something very similar to it that I posted, is I schedule out hour by hour. It keeps me on track big time. So the night before is when I do it, and I set my intention for the next day. I commit to waking up at a certain time every day, which for me, what's been working is 5 a.m. It's a lot earlier than I used to get up. I love sleep. I thought that I needed 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep, which I found out that I don't. If I get good quality sleep and I do my workouts and I drink my shakes, I actually sleep really well, and I can survive on 6 hours of sleep, no problem. And I feel extremely productive when I schedule my day out like this. So I put in everything from, breakfast. I put breakfast in there. I put drop off kids. I put pick out kids' clothes. Like everything is in there, and I cross it off as I go. Or, if I get a couple hours ahead, I'll cross off a couple hours at a time. But and I try not to overschedule my hours, but once I get everything done in one of my hours, if there's still time left, I move on to the next hour. That way I can pick away at things, and if there's extra stuff like in my to-do list that I need to add in that I think of, I don't immediately jump to it and, squirrel and start working on that. I just put it on my to-do list, and when I have some more time during the day, I will squeak it in where I can. So that's definitely been a huge thing for me, is scheduling out hour by hour. Let's see. Power hour. I just want to touch on that really quickly too. At the beginning of my coaching journey, that was like the thing that I did. Katie told me to do power hour, so I did power hour. And sometimes we'd jump on a call and do power hour all together. But if you do nothing else, if you don't need to make these crazy training groups, you don't need to make, all these things. You don't need to organize everything. Just do your power hour every day, and you're going to see that momentum build. Most important thing I think that you can do. Prioritizing. I've been listening to on Audible Eat That Frog, and so one of the things that he talked about is making a list of everything that you're responsible for at your job or as a coach. And then picking, if you could only do one of those things, what would the most important thing be? So choosing that, and then doing that 3 times. So you have your top 3 most important things that you do that are vital to your business or vital to your company or whatever. And everything else on that list, and chances are you're going to have a long list of like 20 things that you feel like you absolutely have to do. But you pick those top 3, and then everything else you either delegate to somebody else, you learn to say no, you practice purposeful procrastination because they're not as important as the other things, so they get put to the bottom of the list, or you ask for help. And one of the things that we've done fairly recently is we got a cleaning lady. And I know, not everybody probably feels like they have that luxury, but for us, it was a sacrifice that we were willing to make financially to help me further my business and help decrease the stress in our lives, which is invaluable to us. So I don't have to clean 3 bathrooms every week. I have a friend that comes and helps me do that. So I can spend time doing what's important to me and spending time with my kids and working on my business. So I've felt this a lot too. This quote was kind of special to me. People often complain about lack of time when lack of direction is the real problem. And I know I get that from my challengers, and I hear that from coaches, and I've definitely thought that as well. Like, I just don't have enough time. There's not enough hours in the day. I'm so busy. And we have all these noble excuses to justify why we can't spend any time on this business, or why we couldn't get everything done. But we're really only hurting ourselves and our own business. And if you don't make the time, you're not going to see the success. And then you're going to start to fizzle out because you're not seeing that success. Or you're going to say, see, I told you this isn't going to work. I knew I couldn't do this. And then that's going to become your reality. It's not going to happen for you. And it's not because, you don't have something that we all have. It's because you didn't have that belief in yourself. So you have complete control you have to take responsibility for your time and your business. And otherwise you're going to blaming other people or other circumstances. And then your fear and your doubt, like I said, is going to become the reality that you're living in. So tracking is super important. I'm trying to think. I think it was 12-week year that they talked a lot about tracking everything. But I was watching a little video from Melanie Mitro about people, talking to her coaches when they will say, like, I work my business all day long. And I used to feel like that when I first started, like, oh my God, I'm on my phone constantly. I'm doing so much for this business, but I wasn't moving ahead as quickly as I wanted to. And I wasn't seeing the success that I wanted to. But you have to stop and track and think about where your time is being spent. So, are you spending 3 hours making challenge group posts and you send out 1 invite a day? You have to tweak what you're doing and adjust accordingly and then track again. And if that's not working, tweak again. So some things that I use to help me track, I use Teamsy. I think Kylie and some others use Google Streak, which is awesome as well. Before I used Teamsy, I used Excel. And then before I used that, I used paper and pen. And I still go back to that sometimes. But you have to have some way to track mainly your follow-ups, but everybody that you come into contact with. You don't want people to get lost in the mix. That's not good business. And they're going to take note, like, oh my gosh, she hasn't talked to me in 6 months. And then all of a sudden she wants me to, buy a challenge bag from her. So, but whatever works for you, if you're a pen and paper person, go for it. Make a binder, get your business trackers. And then another awesome thing that Melanie brought up was that athletes know their stats all the time. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. You can't go past, where you are if you don't even know where you are. Like, I know how many coaches I need to get to 1 star, and I know who needs to be emerald, and you have to know at all times. So I have another whiteboard. I need a place to put all these whiteboards. I need a wall. But I've written out my downline, and I know who's got who underneath them and who needs to go emerald. And that's been really helpful too. And you go back every week and kind of look at that, and update it as you need to. And that way, which coaches to, communicate more with and see how you can help them. Your time is valuable. That is something that I've learned over time as well. I spend a lot of time kind of not begging, dragging people along and going back to the same people. Like, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? You said you were ready. When really, like, value the time that you have. Go run with the people that want to run with you. The people that are moving forward and putting in the effort and, really showing that commitment are the ones that deserve your time. So value your own time and act like it. Then get real with yourself. Just think about every day, like, did I do my vitals? Am I being consistent? Am I doing them every single day? And if I'm not, then I need to be. Hold yourself accountable, but also a really good thing that I've done in the past several months is gotten a couple different success partners. So it doesn't have to be somebody who's exactly where you are. You don't have to be the same rank. It could be a 10-star diamond. You could be an emerald. But just get somebody that can keep you in check. Somebody that's not going to spiral down with you because, you both are just so busy and you have no time. Find somebody that you can work well with and that, speaks to you. So PD, we hear it. Pretty much every coach I feel like I've ever heard speak has said that at first they didn't feel like they needed to do PD. I'm no different. I felt like it was kind of ridiculous. I didn't need that. I don't need self-help. Like, I feel like I think highly of myself, enough. But I really didn't. I had no confidence in myself. I was full of doubt. And one can't be prepared for something while secretly believing it will not happen. And I think a lot of us feel that way. Like, you're like, yeah, go along working your business. But in the back of your mind, you don't believe that you can be Joan. and you don't believe that you can be Melanie Metro, it's just not in the cards for you. You might, hit diamond, you might hit 1 star, but you're definitely not going to be, where they are. And I'm very, very guilty of those thoughts too. But I've started being way more consistent with my PD. So a couple of good books that I've read: You're a Badass, Power of Positive Thinking, Get Over Your Damn Self. And then most recently, I've been trying to read PD for the areas that I feel like I'm lacking in. So I've been reading a lot of leadership ones, but also recently some time management ones. And I listen to it in the car to save myself time. I have a 45-minute commute to work and back. So it's a lot of time that I can listen to PD, which is awesome. It's a little tricky because I can't write stuff down, which bothers me. But so I'm listening to Eat That Frog right now, which I'm loving. 12-Week Year was amazing. Miracle Morning, which I'm really excited. We have a webcast coming up with Hal next week or this week, and The Slight Edge and The Now Habit. And I'm sure others can suggest books that have been great for them as well. But yeah, at Summit, I remember we talked about belief being such a huge part of success. So a lot of us believe in the products that we're using. I think that's an easy one. Like, we've seen the results that we have. We've seen the results that others have had. It's kind of like a no-brainer. And then belief in the business. Like, we see Melanie, we see Joan, we see, all these people that are super successful. So clearly the business, has the potential for success. But when it comes to believing in ourselves and believing that we can be successful in this business, that is the hard part. We come up with all these things like, well, this person's single, or they don't have kids, or it's easier for them for some reason. But we all have our own time constraints and our own struggles, and we all have to make it work for us. So just don't get trapped in that, because I did. So let's see. Oh, I just want to touch on Eat That Frog real quick. For those of you who haven't read it yet, basically the concept is eating a frog is the worst thing you would do all day. So get that over with first thing. Know that doing the hard things first and focusing on those until they're complete will leave you more time for enjoying your favorite things and people. So for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's inviting, particularly inviting to the business opportunity for me. So I've been really trying to focus on doing donuts, waking up first thing in the morning, doing some cold invites, reaching out to people who've liked my posts and inviting them, getting those 10 or so over with. And then during the day, I find I have more pockets of time, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to go invite some more people. And it doesn't seem so scary and big and ugly. So eat the really big, ugly frog first. That one thing that you said was the most important thing for you to do for your business needs to be the first thing that you do during the day. And then the 12-week year, I know a couple other people have read that as well, but I really like how the concept of how it kind of teaches you to create this false sense of urgency. Like, if you know you have a year to get something done, if I want to be 2-star in a year, I'm probably not going to be pushing in February. Come October, November, I'm probably going to be pushing pretty hard. So if you condense it into the 12 weeks, then you have like 4 of these chunks, during the year, or 3 of these chunks during the year, that you are reaching your goals and getting further ahead. So read those if you haven't already. Let's see. Beware of squirrels. We talk about this all the time, and I'm totally guilty of it as well. But turn off your notifications. Stop scrolling. What I've had to do, because I have a really hard time with scrolling, is I have my hourly schedule set out, and I say, okay, so I finish my 5 a.m. tasks, and if there's 5 minutes left at the end of my 5 a.m. task, I can scroll for 5 minutes. It's like my reward for being productive. So if that's what works for you, then do that. Setting time limits for tasks in short bursts, because it's been proven, and I don't know the amount of time that people can concentrate for, but you have to have breaks. You can't work for 5 hours straight on something and expect to be as productive, at the end of the 5 hours that you were at the beginning. So take breaks, give your mind a break. I like to do like an hour of business, and then I'll do like an hour of laundry and dishes, and I'll let myself kind of run around the house and do crazy things, or run out and do some errands and then come back and work the business again. so I don't get burnt out and overwhelmed. Say no to things that don't serve you and your priorities. And I think Jessica Bowser Nelson had posted something or talked about it in one of the groups. She had like a little meme that said, I'm a recovering people pleaser. Is that okay? Because I'm totally a people pleaser and I don't like to make people upset. I would completely burn myself out to, make sure that somebody else was taken care of, but we cannot pour from an empty cup. So say no. And then again, eat the biggest, ugliest frogs first. So, oh no. Why am I going backwards? Guys. What's happening? What's happening? Oh, I see. Never mind. Okay. We'll get there. There we go. Ask for help. So I felt like I had to do everything on my own, or like I would beg Katie, like, please, tell me where to go, what to do. But take the initiative and grab some friends, grab some of the people in this chat, share challenge group templates. Beth, Meg, Kat, and I did an Evernote work chat and shared all kinds of our templates. That saved me like so many hours of work. Because I like to add a lot of value to my challenge groups, and I spend a lot of time making up the posts and stuff, and I don't like to run the same one the next month because sometimes people carry over into the next one, and I don't want them to be bored. That was so helpful. I was just like picking and choosing posts from that. So that saved me a ton of time. Co-host groups with people. Shannon and I are co-hosting at the end of the month. Joan has a group that several of us are going to co-host, and so that you're not posting every day. Somebody else has a responsibility to post this day, and then maybe you do the next day, but it's still an engaging group and everybody's getting a lot of value out of it, but you don't have to put as much time into it. And then don't reinvent the wheel. We say it a million zillion times, but you've got all kinds of resources at your fingertips. You've got a zillion trainings, all these groups. Just use those. If you need to tweak things here and there, tweak things, but use what you have in front of you, and just ask. Don't feel like you can't ask. I don't know. I think I was intimidated at first, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know that they were there. So just know that they're there and ask, and whoever has stuff for you will just give it to you. I mean, and there's YouTube. I go on YouTube constantly. Like I said, Melanie Mitro and I are not BFFs, but I steal all kinds of ideas from her on YouTube. So, yeah. And then just some takeaways, break things into bite-sized pieces. You'll be more productive that way. Prepare and plan. I think it's super, super important to set your intentions the night before so that you don't hit snooze, a zillion times and decide that sleep is more important. If you know what your plan is for the next day, you're much more likely to get up and just get it done. Eat your frogs and get your vitals done before you do anything else. Power hour. If that's the only damn thing you do all day long, do your power hour. Don't waste time on all this fancy stuff when it's already there for you. Be intentional with your actions. Know what you're shooting for and how you're going to get there. Plan that out. Whatever you're avoiding, do more of that. Inviting for all of us probably. And just hold yourself accountable and have, people on this team and success partners and other people do the same thing. So that's all I have. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to entertain.
That's all she has. That was amazing. Such incredible tips. Like, seriously, I mean, I think every single person in here was commenting in the chat just like what great advice this is and how many things that they're taking away from it. So many good nuggets. But like some of my key nuggets that I just took from Moriah are, be resourceful, right? Like she's talking about how she's going and looking at other successful coaches' posts and what they're doing so that she can duplicate that behavior. She's being coachable. She's listening to what her coaches are telling her to do. And when they say, hey, you know what? Success Club is important. She goes out and she makes Success Club. Like it's no shock that Katie makes Success Club consistently tells her coach to do it, and her coach starts doing it consistently. And then because they've set that pattern that, you know, then Mariah's coaches are going to do it, and so on and so on and so on. And that is how you become successful in this business. And then also PD, you guys, PD. Even when she wasn't talking about PD, she was talking about PD throughout this entire thing. And I started mentioning it in the chat and talking about it. And then she had a whole slide on it. And I was like, oh, wait, never mind. She is going there, but she's already been talking about it. And I can't tell you, like, I will tell you the days that I am really short on time, the thing that seems to go first is your personal development.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, really quickly can become a habit of letting that go because like, oh, I just need to get work done. I just need to invite. Like that's how I find coaches and challengers. But if you're doing that and you're not doing the personal development part of it, it's harder. Like people don't sign as easily. Your attitude sucks. Your attitude sucks about doing your work. And your energy sucks while you're talking to people and they're picking it up while they're there. Like Mariah's energy is really good. Just during this call, like I feel pumped up. I have more energy right now because her energy just came through to me. So like, I think that's really, really super duper important to find something that works for you with your personal development. Like she just named off a shit ton of really, really good ones that like you all could start with. One of the ones that actually was just mentioned to me by a coach this week that I completely forgot to keep recommending to people, but it's one of my favorites is The Go-Giver. If you haven't read that book, like quite frankly, every time I pick it up, I just schedule 2 hours because I know I'm going to read it cover to cover. I won't put it down and then I'll cry at the end. That's just what I do. And then like the, what is it? The No book, Ryan? What's it called? Go for No. That's another fantastic book. They're really short reads, but really awesome. And so, and I know that in here, Katie, was it you? You wrote out another one, I think, in the chat. What was it? Oh, Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. Katie put that down. That is another phenomenal one. And the 10X rule. So those ones that she just put there, plus those 4 that we just mentioned are really great ones to start with. And then of course, finding stuff that just speaks to you. Like for me, it's Gabrielle Bernstein, it's Dr. Wayne Dyer, it's those things. Like literally just the other night, I started reading The Power of Intention before I went to sleep. Ended up I was going to bed with a shitty attitude. Picked up the book and ended up going to bed smiling, and then woke up the next day having 3 people telling me that they want to start coaching. So it works, and it works quickly when you put yourself in the right space. So don't ever skip personal development. What else about your call was awesome? Well, pretty much everything. But does anybody have questions? BTW, like natural. Right? You didn't need a cocktail. You're just like spewing out information. It's amazing that when you're talking about something that you do on a daily basis and something that you know in and out because it's part of you and it's literally your schedule, your routine. It's not something you have to go learn and memorize and create a slide for. It's you, how easily it comes out, right?
Yeah.
Mariah, will you share your tracker thingy that you made your plan your days with? Kat just asked.
Oh, yeah. I'll share it.
Post that in the team page.
Yep.
Also, okay, I have a couple questions. So if nobody else is going to speak up and talk, you said in the beginning that, and I just think this is really important, especially for those people who have spouses that might be not be on board yet and stuff like that. I do remember the first time we met you came down to, well, the first time we met her, she was on the Diamond Retreat, guys. So hello, down in Destin. So talk about rock star. And she walked in the door and we didn't know her at all, but she fit right in and we started doing the questions game and we had such a great time. But as we went on, I remember a conversation that happened with her and Ryan on the couch, specifically about spouses and getting your spouse involved. So I know that, Matt, you're here now and we love you now and you want to coach now and you're rocking it now, but then you sucked. So I'm just kidding. You didn't suck. Your spouse doesn't suck. But what do you do? What did you say? What did some of those conversations look like? Like how would you recommend somebody who has that same problem, like how do they get past it? That was a really long question.
That's fine. I think it's going to look different for different people. Mm-hmm. I am a tough love lover. And also as like,
I have no idea what
I call myself timid, but like I stand my ground when I need to. And like I said, I told Matt, I was like, even if I make $0, I'm doing this. So we're going to have to find a way to make it work. So
why
it took
are you so steadfast in that? Like, why would you do this for $0? Because I think that's something that's good to share too.
That's true. I think it just made me feel so good. Like, and I wasn't even like reading PD consistently or, I don't know. It felt right. It felt like that this is where I was supposed to be. And it was fun for me. My other job was not fun for me anymore. It was a really negative environment. I felt like the community was huge. I did not have like a lot of close friends, and I always felt like all my relationships were really surface. And I think that hitting Diamond really quickly and going to the retreat and feeling like, oh my God, this is crazy. I feel like I've known these people forever. That was a big piece of it. And so some of those big conversations happened, I think, after Destin. And I was just like, this is it. So we're going to have to make it work. And it was hard, and we had lots of fights about, being on my phone, and it could have been avoided to some extent, if I would have learned how to manage my time a little bit better earlier on, but we made it work. We have good stories now. And
sorry, I'm not even muted, and I almost just lost it because Katie said you killed that ice cream. So that brings up another important point, you guys. And I think, Moriah didn't really say it there, but, one of the things that she said when she was having that conversation with Ryan is that she really wanted Matt to meet Ryan, because she could just see that they were going to be friends. Now they are great friends. They go hiking together by the lonesomes and camp and snuggle. So, they have a bromance, but it was one of those things where I feel like a lot of the spouses within this team have become really not just accepting, but super duper supportive of this business when they've been brought around the people, and when they've learned that, like, dude, these are like our best friends. Like, these aren't just like weirdos that are like trying to make money off of us. They're just like us. They, have similar relationships to each other. The guys get along, the girls get along. And it's just that, like, it's really crazy, because it's a similar feeling that I had when, I went to my first event was actually a cruise. That was the first time we met Chris Reed. I went Diamond super quickly. And so he gave us a spot on the cruise with them. And so that was the first time we met our team for Team Pan. And when I left there, I was like, oh my God, this is like, yeah, exactly. I will do this no matter what. I don't care what I bring in, because this is what I've been missing, was that positive community, like best friends, amazingness. So I think that that's a huge thing, is getting to events and bringing your spouse along. And also, I know she said she kind of just told him this is it and this is what I'm doing. And that's kind of my approach too. And that's how I would have said it. But I also was the skeptical spouse at first. And so I also know the other side of it. And it wasn't that I was skeptical. I just wanted nothing to do with it. Like, I thought, like, hey, if you worked in MLM, yeah, you could probably make it work, and that's fine. But I just didn't want to bug friends. I didn't want to do it myself. I was, not into fitness. I didn't want to do any of that. So Ryan's approach to it was slightly different. So if you're not the person who is going to go up to your spouse and say, I'm doing this no matter what you can do is you can really share like the highlights of the good stuff that's happening. Whether it be a paycheck, whether it be like you just got a message from somebody in your challenge group and that, they really they lost weight, or they just thanked you for something, or like they're feeling good, like those sorts of things too can share that what you're doing has meaning. And then just leading by example, or playing PD in the background, or doing those sorts of things that are kind of like inception of, like, they don't ever have to actually work the business, but I think learning that it makes you happy, like Moriah was saying, it made her happy. And so I think that's ultimately why Matt came around, is because it made her happy. All right. So that was so great. I wanted you to talk about that. And anybody else have questions for Moriah before we jump off? Okay. I did want to say before we jump off, I was talking to Keisha the other day, and you guys know Keisha is like one of my success partners. And she was saying that I was telling her that I wanted to do one of those groups like we used to do. Like, some of you guys remember like the Power of 3 groups. which were really like great for accountability and getting your shit done and like having some sort of incentive to do it, but also got kind of really stale after a while. And I was like, this is boring. So instead, I was like, what do you have for ideas? And she actually just started up a group of her own that's similar, but instead and the reason I thought of this and had Katie remind me of it is because the sheet that Moriah had shared, but also her talking about the importance of like date nights and those sorts of things. So there's a spreadsheet that I've created, and it's just a Google Doc. And it has scheduled time for downtime that is unplugged away from your computer, away from your phone, away from that sort of thing. So that's part of this group, as well as like your daily vitals, and listening to your podcast or your PD or doing whatever. So it kind of is like a check-in group like that, but it's just a spreadsheet. So like you'll just go in and you'll just check off, you'll like write in like what you did. And then we'll do it for 3 weeks. And then the people who have filled it out the most, we'll do some sort of like prize or like giveaway or something like that. But how does that sound in terms of kind of like an accountability group that y'all can get behind? Yes. Sounds good. Yes. Awesome. Cool. Excellent. What app does everyone use to listen to PD on their phones? I have a Kindle, but I think it plays audio, so probably Amazon. Spotify, Audible. You can download audiobooks right on iTunes. Also, you can everybody's phone. If you have an iPhone, it comes with like the purple podcast thing. You can download podcasts there. If you don't have an iPhone, you can download a podcast app. I don't know the names of them, but I'm sure in your Google Play Store or whatever you guys have, you can go find the podcast app. And you should know this, Matt. Don't you have a non-iPhone? Does it have a podcast app? I think you can download one though. You're so helpful. I think you can download one. Joan, what is the name of the book you read the other night before bed and woke up to 3 people on a couch? Everybody read this. No, it's called The Power of Intention, and it's by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's actually, all right, hold on. I'm going to just take 2 seconds, you guys, and then we'll jump off because I know we're running a little bit long, but I got to show you this. Here's the book. And so not only is the book awesome, but it's just about like the prettiest book you've ever seen. Like every page is just pure like gorgeousness. So as you're reading it, it's fun and it makes you happy. Okay. How pretty is that, right? It's like a picture book for adults. That's all I got. Picture books work for me. There's a lot of text on there that's like heavy duty text though. it's like reading this book where one page is like so much to take in that you have to take a break. It's taken me, I don't know, 3 years to get to page 100. All right, guys, you rocked that call, Moriah. Thank you so much for sharing with us all. I'll share more about that group and the template and everything. And I hope you guys have an awesome night.